I mean, what are you going to complain about?
One time, I was at a party when I had an exam, and my dad called...
Wait, you were at a party when you had an exam? I mean, I feel like that's just a bad choice.
If you don't do well in school, I'll not include you in my will. Let's just say I failed so bad that I had to change schools. My new school was cooler than the first. There were hotter boys and sassier girls.
There were hotter boys and sassier girls. That's all it takes to make it a better school, guys.
If I didn't come from a rich home, I would have felt like a loser, but I got along just fine.
Yo, I can relate. I feel like I went to a public school, and like if you were rich, you were instantly like that's just how it is.
I didn't tell you. Well, I'm such a badass that I became the captain of the cheerleading squad.
Wow, brand new to the school and the cheerleading captain. That seems like a rare achievement. Congratulations. You seem like you're excelling.
You know, I already said the boys at the school were super hot.
Yeah.
I literally had to do a bit of stuff off camera. So first, I finished the house. Well, kind of. I put some stuff in the chest. Got all this gold. Well, I've had this gold, and then all that iron, lapis, diamonds, redstone, etc. And I also have...
But if there's a word that can be used to describe someone who is way hotter, then you can insert it here for Greg.
Dude looks like Fred from Scooby-Doo.
Captain of the basketball team.
Oh, okay.
We started dating after he walked up to me one day and was like, "Hey, I love your birthmark, and I think you're really cute."
Oh, wow. These guys with the best pickup lines ever. Guys, if you're in high school or middle school, that's a line you need to take with you. That's powerful.
That was the beginning and end of that. Everything might have seemed perfect with me, but as an Indian, it was hard for me to pronounce some English words correctly.
Okay.
I once pronounced bicycle at my former school as bicycle.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's fine. Why is that a problem? You shouldn't lose points for that.
And it made everyone laugh and make fun of me for
That's
about
awful.
a week. I started taking special English classes, but to avoid embarrassment at my new school, I just stuck with words I was confident of pronouncing or pointing to things I wanted to talk about.
Isn't that kind of like sad, to be honest with you? I can't speak Chinese, for example. Like, why do people do that? Why are you gonna bully? Just be like, it's okay, you're gonna learn maybe.
At first, my friends thought I was weird, but they got used to it. But I was quite comfortable with Greg, so I didn't mind making those mistakes around him, as he seemed like he didn't care about it.
Look at this. They're such a happy couple. You guys don't see this too often in these stories. Usually it's like, oh, I had like 16 twins I didn't know about, and like one of them's like a murderer.
Greg and I spent a lot of time going to the movies, arcades, and live concerts. We were almost inseparable. In fact, you can't see me anywhere and not find him close by. We were the perfect couple, and everyone wanted their relationship to be like ours.
It's adorable.
Once, while we were hanging out, I told him I would like to live with him on a remote island and have twins with him.
Wow, that's very specific. And their twins are definitely not identical twins. That's even more weird specific. Why would you want non-identical twins? I mean, you specifically made them not the same. That's just a very unique request. I should point that
The
out.
thought of a life without Greg in it always made me cringe. Then, a new girl showed up. Her name was Lucy, and
Wendy's from... Oh, okay. This is the Wendy girl from Wendy's.
she was very pretty. You can call it jealousy, but on her first day of school, everyone in class was like, "Ooh, she's so hot." And it made me
and she's also 7'5". She's very tall.
uncomfortable. One day, she came up to me and said, "Hi, Amara. I heard you're the cheerleading captain. When can I come for tryouts?" I wanted to tell her that we weren't open to new intakes, but
Ooh, this is going to be some nice drama, but I don't understand how this ties into you being 30 years older. I'm not sure where that comes into
I
play.
saw a chance to make life a bit miserable for her, and I took it. I gave her the hardest stunts, but she killed it. She even asked me if that was all I've got. I was angry, but not as mad as when I heard the others in the changing room saying that she was better than I was.
The new cheer captain drama, and... Oh, no, she's still got the boy. She's good.
I was sitting with Greg one afternoon, and then she comes over and says,
Oh, no.
"Hi, Greg. I'm a huge fan of yours. Can I take a picture with you, please?"
What? She's acting like dude's a celebrity and he plays on a basketball team?
Of course, Greg didn't say no. He even asked me to take the picture. She kept holding on to him like he was her boyfriend. I couldn't take it anymore.
There's a lot of drama here, not a lot about her being 30 years old or 16, so I'm confused.
And I told her to get her hands off him. She started crying like I was the monster, and Greg hugged her and apologized. She made faces at me as he did, and that was when
Does this type of stuff actually happen? Like, this is stuff I never witnessed, I felt like, when I was in school, but, like, does this actually happen to other people?
that she was probably sent from hell to take everything from me. Greg and I were supposed to see a movie one evening, but he canceled and said he was having a family hangout. I was bored and didn't want to stay home, so I asked my friends if we could hang out, but they said Lucy had already invited them for...
Oh, she just stole all of her friends and her boyfriend? and didn't invite her? I mean, that's the last straw. You relocate, go to a new school, and just start all over. You can't come back from that.
I decided to join them since I wanted to see why Lucy was so great, and I no longer was. I drove to the bar and noticed Greg's car was parked outside. I parked opposite the bar and called him, but he ignored all my calls. The next thing, he came out of the bar holding Lucy by the waist.
You guys can go to bars when you're only in high school? You can't even do that in America.
And they were laughing like lovers. I got out, and when Greg saw me, he froze. I started walking towards them when a drunk driver knocked me
What the heck? Where did a drunk driver come from? All over the place.
oncoming traffic. I got hit by a second car that kind
You got hit by
of
two
crushed my
cars?
skull, and I became unconscious.
You're telling me that you just literally had your boyfriend cheat on you, lost all your friends, lost your captain, and got hit by 2 cars in the same day. We can't complain about our days anymore, guys. Wow.
That was what led me to my coma. I remember when I first woke up.
Wow.
I thought I had just woken up from a deep sleep, but I had all this medical stuff on my body, and my family were excited. I asked how long I had been unconscious, and they told me 13 years.
13 years! Yo, that's crazy.
I was already 30. I cried and tried to catch up with everyone. My little sister was done with college and had just landed a high-income job. Even in my condition, I still felt envious. The doctors were
Dude, the doctor is your ex-boyfriend. Look at this man. He's literally your ex-boyfriend. This is crazy.
and informed my parents that they would let
How
me
is that
go
not
when
your
they were
ex?
done with some tests.
Does-
But the next day, I could no longer speak, and I slipped back into a coma. Did you
What?
know that someone can wake up from a coma for a day or two and then go back? Now
No, but it sounds like you just learned that fact. Or no, it sounds like it could be real. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about comas. Maybe it is.
you know. You're welcome.
Okay.
So, how did I wake up again? Everyone, including the doctors, was about to give up on me because they felt I would never wake up again. Then my sister remembered I loved listening to music. I don't remember much about my coma, but I heard a familiar song playing and I followed the sound. Amazingly, I opened my eyes.
I feel like if you were like chilling in the middle of the woods though, and you came back in the hospital, I'd be like, yo, I'm going back to the woods. This ain't it. I'm
The
going back.
doctor said my brain rewired itself over the years till the connections were enough for me to wake up. But my sister still believes music woke me up.
Oh.
Did you also know that people waking up from a coma and speaking a foreign language fluently is an actual thing? My parents weren't there, and when I asked, I found out they had died 5 years back. My dad had left me a lot of money, but most of it had gone into my hospital care. My sister was married and had 2 grown kids. She looked way older than I remembered her, and I even mistook her for one of the nurses when
Wow, that is crazy. Can you imagine doing
I
that?
first woke up. At that moment, I felt so bad for envying and resenting her over the years, because she ended up being the only one who stuck by me through the years. I was discharged from the hospital after a few weeks and placed under therapeutic care at home. So I went home, and the first thing I did was to look in the mirror. It almost jumped out of my skin when I saw my reflection. This isn't me. Tell me it's not true, I
that'd be
said.
weird.
I had the body of a 47-year-old,
Oh,
but
no.
my thoughts were just like when I was 17.
Oh, that's so weird, dude. That's so weird.
I told my therapist about it, and she called it post-coma. I didn't believe her until I showed up at my niece's 16th birthday party and tried to do cool stuff.
So that makes you wonder too, is it weird when you're an old person doing young person things if you're still a young person in your mind? Like, or is it just being old just makes it weird already? I have questions.
Her friends seemed impressed and gathered around me to ask me how I could act and talk like I was 17. They found me quite interesting.
Wow, this is
Everything
weird.
had changed from what I used to remember. First, my favorite band was no longer together,
The
and
Beatles, they're gone.
they were much older. There was nothing like a Walkman or a Game Boy anymore. They were all
Dude.
replaced with some things my sister calls
Why is it showing the PS2 logo in an iPad? Why not freaking like, you know, a more modern logo, PS5?
iPods and PlayStations. Everything was different, and it was a lot to take in at once. I once asked my sister's teenage daughter if I could use Netscape Navigator on her phone, and she laughed after telling me she didn't know what that was. She was kind enough to show me how to use the
Facebook.
current browser today and the popular social media platforms
Wow.
too. Then one day, I saw my niece watching something on her phone, and I was interested. It was a video about a girl in a coma.
Whoa, it's literally a video from this channel. This is getting weird now. What's going on? Am I in a coma? Am I dreaming?
On My Story animated channel. I got so interested in the channel that my niece jokingly said, maybe you should send your story to them too.
I thought I was about to say maybe you should subscribe to them.
I bought the idea and contacted them immediately. They were thrilled to hear my story. Plus, here's a secret. I'm afraid that I could wake up tomorrow and not even remember who I am anymore.
So they claim that this girl sent in the story. Like, they claim this is real, and the girl sent this into them, and they animated it.
So this story you were watching is like my open diary, too. I was curious about how Greg must have turned out, but my sister didn't have much to tell me. She just said that he stopped visiting me at the hospital after a year.
I mean, he went for a full year. I mean, to be honest, you got to be kind of happy with that, considering he also had a girlfriend at the time. I don't know.
Mad that despite being the cause of my coma, he could only visit for a year out of 30 after stalking him on Instagram.
Oh, he's got a private jet? My boy's doing good.
For a while, I found out where he worked, and I decided to visit him. When I arrived at his office, I wasn't let in because I didn't have an appointment.
Oh.
I didn't want him to know it was me. So I hung around for a bit for when he would be going out for lunch.
Oh, there he is. He's got a beard now. 30 years gave him a beard.
And I followed him. But when I approached him, he wasn't Greg. It was someone else.
What?
I was stalking someone else on Instagram all this time.
Oh my gosh, you literally followed the wrong dude.
One day my sister said, I found Greg, but promise me you won't do anything stupid. I gave her my word, and she told me I could find him at a coffee shop that he visited every morning. I went to the coffee shop the next morning.
Makes you wonder how her sister knows that, unless she's dating her sister now.
And I had to keep checking the picture she showed me to make sure I didn't miss him. When he saw me, he didn't recognize me at first.
He literally looks exactly the same, except now he has 3 lines on his face.
Until he saw
did not
the
age too bad.
birthmark on my cheek. It was like he just saw a zombie. We sat down to talk for a little while, and I asked him why he cheated on me. He was shocked I was still holding on to that memory after so many years, but he apologized and asked us to meet again the next day. The next day, Greg didn't come around.
Oh, you can't let him. He already cheated on you, girl. You gotta move on. Find another man. This ain't it.
And it was like that for weeks.
You kept going back for weeks? You just got some issues.
But then I knew he had stopped coming to the coffee shop because of me.
Oh.
It hurts. My sister told me to let go since he already apologized, but I wasn't going to end 30 years of a coma with just, I'm sorry. I gradually slipped into depression because although he had matured and was older than what I could remember, my 17-year-old mind was still in love with him.
That's
my
awful.
sister had to sign me up for personal counseling as I was always sad. Personal counseling helped, and I became stable again.
That's good.
I wanted a job, but I needed a diploma for that. Going back to school at my age was the last thing on my mind. I couldn't imagine being
Why does everyone look like a ghost, man? You have a great hair.
in the same class with students half my age and being older than most of my teachers. But I decided to go for it anyway. On my first day in class, some of my classmates thought I was their new instructor.
I had a lot of older people in my classes in college, and like it was kind of cool because they were like super smart and like would help us a lot, so I liked it.
When they saw I wasn't, they didn't make a fuss of it like I thought. In fact, some of them started calling me their surrogate mom away from home.
That's how it was, man. This is accurate. All right, maybe I do believe this
It
story.
feels weird to be referred to as an elder when you know you aren't, but I wasn't going to ruin anything and tell them,
Wow.
hey guys, I'm actually 17. I just have this old body. You won't
That is weird. All right, that is weird. That's a weird thought.
understand. If there's anything I can't stand, it's being called crazy. I
Yeah.
was already getting over my obsession with Greg when I was at a coffee shop and I saw someone who looked like him. He was
That's your doctor, probably.
laughing with a pretty woman, and it looked like they had a thing. He kept touching her hair, and it felt like when I had caught him with
Welcome to Celebrity Pong League. There's a lot of great people playing on the show. They're all gonna get their ass whooped either way.
Bullseye.
It's a dirty game already.
When you love someone who is so sensitive to cat allergens, it can make the relationship a constant struggle, especially with my boyfriend. He literally can stay for 15 minutes and wolf down dinner, and then he has to leave. Most people think that cat hair is the problem, but it's actually actually FeLD1, which is a protein that's in cat saliva. And when they lick themselves, it gets all over their fur, and that allergen is then floating around. I never dreamed that there would be a cat food that could actually reduce the allergen that my cats produce. I don't have to obsess about changing clothes and doing laundry and cleaning obsessively. I know that the allergens have been reduced, and that's unbelievable. Now he can enjoy the cat, and they love him. It's literally a cat miracle.
Lucy.
What happened to Lucy? I need to follow up on Lucy. Lucy's really the real criminal here. We need to know where she is.
I didn't want to go over and embarrass myself like the last time, but the resemblance was too striking. I walked over to him.
Probably a twin. He's always have twins.
Touched his shoulder, but he turned to look at me. It was him. His look of surprise quickly dissolved into a frown, and he asked if I had been stalking him.
Oh, it was him. Okay, no twins today.
I was about to respond when I noticed the ring on his finger.
He's engaged.
I wondered why I didn't the last time we met. Now, I know he could have moved on, but I was mad that he was so comfortable to settle down after abandoning me at the hospital.
Dang, man, how do you feel about this? Like, I don't know. This is tough. Like, you gotta feel bad for her, but you also gotta be like, obviously she has to move on, but it's also only been like a couple minutes for her, like, you know, being awake, so I don't know.
Monster and left after giving his date a hateful look. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Facebook is like the easiest place to find someone. At least that's what one of my classmates told me, and it worked. I found Greg's profile.
Oh, what do we have about Greg? The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Okay, your time is limited, so don't waste living someone else's life, okay?
Post with one agenda, to find out more about the woman he was with, because I thought she was his wife. But I wasn't only shocked to find out that he was cheating when I saw him.
Again? Oh.
I found out he was married to Lucy. The shock turned into rage when I saw they had 2 teenage boys and they looked perfect. That should have been me. I found Lucy's page too, and I had to stop myself from commenting nasty things.
Oh, you don't want to do that. That's a bad move.
30 years later, and I still want revenge. I remembered the lady at the coffee shop, and an idea struck. I thought it was going to be difficult because I thought Greg wouldn't come to the coffee shop again, but fate was on my side. I didn't see him there for a few more weeks, but he came around.
You just went there every day for weeks plotting revenge? That's got to be unhealthy. Also, what type of coffee shop's got a full-on butler service, dude?
With the same woman. I held up a menu so he wouldn't notice me, and I took a video recording while they were...
Oh my gosh. Who makes out in the middle of a coffee shop at 10 a.m. with a freaking butler? This is a weird world we're living in.
A perfect moment. I didn't open my Facebook account with my real name or pictures, so I was quick to upload the video, and I tagged Lucy and Greg. I captioned the post as, "A cheater never changes at Greg. What goes around comes around at Lucy." The post had hundreds of
That's brutal. Look at all of these comments.
views and comments, including hateful sad ones from Lucy and Greg. I finally got my revenge.
If you enjoyed it, click right here to go watch another story and see if it's fact or cap. See you guys tomorrow. Peace. They were looking at a true story about a guy who was kidnapped by a 7-year-old, and it literally says this is based on a true story. We're going to find out today if it's fact or cap.
The moment I woke up, the pain hit me like a ton of bricks. For a moment, I didn't know where I was or who I was. There was just the terrible, throbbing agony in the back of my head. There was also an unbearable stench of bleach.
7-year-old kid kidnapped this girl. There's the scent of bleach somewhere. I have so many questions as to how this ever would have been possible. But I guess we'll find out. Here we go.
Suddenly, a little voice whispered in my ear, "Good morning, Mama." My eyes flew open, and I turned in bed. There was a pretty little girl with blue eyes and blonde hair looking expectantly at me.
Okay, what? Is this like a real movie story? Why have I heard something like this before? Maybe this is real.
She must have seen the confusion on my face. "It's me, Mama," she cried happily. "It's Hannah." I was shocked, and I sat up, fighting the blinding headache. But something was holding my leg down, and I heard the clink of steel on steel.
What if this mom actually, that's legitimately the mom's daughter, and the mom, got into a car accident and just made this whole thing up and, didn't realize that actually was really her daughter? Because I don't see how a 7-year-old's going to kidnap you.
When I looked over, I saw a cuff around my foot, chaining me up to the bed frame. I looked around the room. I didn't even know where I was. When my hair swung in front of my face, I gasped. My brown hair was blonde now. I panicked, turned again to the stranger who was calling me her mother. But now I realized she wasn't a stranger. I recognized her little face. She was my boyfriend's daughter. Whoa, that's intense. Do you think I'm just having a nightmare?
Yes, actually, that's like what I said. I feel like you're going crazy, so I guess we're going to find out.
What's going on? I asked in a panic. Where's Hank? Dad's just fixing something, Hannah replied happily. Then she waved her small hand to point at something on the wall behind me. Look, Mama, she added, and I gasped. All over the wall were pictures that Hank took of me while we...
This part makes me maybe feel a little bit less like the mom's crazy. It could still be a bad dream, but I feel like you see like a wall of someone like this, there's proper reason to make me a little bit concerned about it. I don't know.
Hannah had drawn blonde hair cutouts and pasted them on my head to hide my brown hair.
That's weird.
To my surprise, there were pictures of Hannah, too, and they were pasted on top of mine.
Okay, this is definitely uncomfortable. I'm excited to see where this goes.
There were notes everywhere saying, my mom and me. In the middle of it all, there was a big picture of me and Hank, who looked big and muscular. He had a goofy smile on his face. There was something scribbled on top. It read, I love my family.
So this dude, it sounds like lost his girlfriend and then somehow drugged her, tied her to a bed with handcuffs, and then changed her hair to blonde. The blonde hair is probably the most impressive part of this. I've never, ever heard of that happening. And it almost makes me believe the story because it's so weird. How could someone make it up?
I was getting goosebumps on my arm. Nothing was making sense. What kind of sick joke was this? I was fighting the rising panic in my chest. I thought of my 2-year-old son, Marcus, who I had left with my mother last night. I had to get out of here.
How do you know it was last night? Like, if you're out and you wake up and your hair's different colored, like, I feel like maybe it's been more than one night. Maybe it's been like you've been there for a couple months.
But I was chained to the bed like a trapped animal.
Oh, boy.
Do you know how to get this thing off? I asked her, pointing to the cuff around my foot. And who bleached my hair? But Hannah's attention was elsewhere. Let's play, she told me excitedly. I tried to clear my head despite my headache while Hannah played. I pressed my hands on my eyes and tried to remember how I got to this position.
All right, I'm built different, so here's what I'm going to do. You chain me up to a bed. I don't know you. Or maybe you're trying to bring me back into your family. Your kid's next to me. Take your kid, boom, chokehold like this. Let me go or the kid dies. Boom. 5 seconds, I'm out. That's what I do. I'm built different.
I remember meeting Hannah for the first time last night at dinner. We had a wonderful time. I could see Hank's proud face in my mind, beaming proudly, when I said that his daughter seemed like a gifted 7-year-old. Hannah even kissed me on the cheek before she went to bed. Last night you asked permission if you could still watch TV and write in your diary before going to bed, I said out loud to Hannah. She smiled sweetly at me. Yes, I have to write in my diary every day. I walked from the kitchen to the living room. Your father was laughing. Then
I'm getting the feeling the daughter is actually the evil mastermind behind this, and it's not just because the title. Maybe the dad's like chill, he doesn't even realize it. I hope he doesn't, otherwise I don't know. Then
I heard a thud, I added, trying to make sense of it all. Then something hit me really hard on the head. I tried to remember more, but I was drawing a big blank. Hannah suddenly laughed. Did you have a bad dream, Mama?
See, look, this is definitely the daughter's room. So the daughter seems to have done that, and maybe the daughter dyed the hair, because, like, what dad knows how to dye hair? So it seems like it's the daughter.
She asked innocently. I felt like I was still dreaming, but the cold touch of steel around my foot, I knew I was...
Okay, but then why does the daughter have a chain in her bedroom? It's another question I have yet to answer.
Where is your father? Can you go and get him? But Hannah just shook her head. I don't think that Daddy is going to spend time with us today.
So it sounds like maybe the dad's been killed. Maybe. I feel like this is getting very dark in my mind where this could go, but okay.
She answered with a touch of annoyance. Please play with me. She looked at me with her piercing big blue eyes. I realized that until Hank arrived, I wouldn't get any answers. Meanwhile, Hannah was playing with the makeup she found in my bag. Do you think I'm pretty, Mom? Asked Hannah.
But I'm confused. How long has the girl known this mom? Like, this isn't actually her mom. She's just known her for one night and she decided it's time for you to be my mom? Like, that's pretty excessive.
I wondered about the night before. Something or someone hit me really hard on the head. I heard it.
How could the girl that's 7 years old even reach your head? I have so many questions. Answer them, please.
If Hank was in the kitchen, how did he get to the living room so fast?
It had to be the
daughter.
daughter.
After a while, Hannah complained that she was hungry. She asked if I could make her some food. Daddy showed me how to remove it from the bed, she explained while pointing at the cuff. She wiggled under the bed, twisting the chain. A few moments later, she showed me that the chain wasn't attached to the bed anymore.
Okay, it's attached to a bowling ball now? What? You just have a... What?
Now it was connected to a big metal ball.
Okay.
Anger flared up inside me again. What kind of sick father would teach his daughter to...
What kind of sick father would even own that at all, let alone in the daughter's bedroom? This is very, very uncomfortable to me.
I explained that I had to go home. My son was waiting for me.
Her reaction will be very telling here because she looks scared about it. I think that's what we're looking for here.
Please don't leave me, Hannah begged, and she began to cry. Don't leave me alone here. I'm scared. But I was more worried about myself than Hannah at that point. I dragged the ball to the front door and realized that it was locked from the outside. I tried the windows. They were locked too.
Yeah.
Feeling furious and frustrated, I even tried to break the glass.
I was about to say, you better be trying to break that.
It wouldn't break. My cell phone was gone, and I didn't see a phone anywhere. I came to a realization that chilled me to the bone. There was no way out, and
I feel like you gave up way too early. I'm not going to lie to you. That door, you could break that door.
That's when I started to cry. Hannah ran to me and hugged me tight. I didn't see Hank at all that day, but there was a constant thumping sound coming from the attic.
That's where her dad is. How could a 7-year-old take out the mom and the dad? I'm just confused. That's a lot.
The next morning, I finally saw Hank. He and Hannah came into the room carrying a tray for breakfast.
Okay, so he's now out. I'm really confused now.
Can I share your breakfast, Mom? Hannah said while jumping into the bed. I looked angrily at Hank, and I demanded that he release me, but he never said a word. I grabbed his hand. What kind of sick joke is this? I started to shout, but Hannah covered her ears. Please don't fight, she said, and she started to cry. Hank looked me straight in the eyes.
Hank looks sad to me. Like, they made him look very sad. Like, he doesn't want this, I feel like.
This is for the best, Hannah. I spent the next few days chained to that bed. Hannah was my constant companion. My heart was bleeding for this poor little girl. She seemed so starved for a mother's love and affection. Everything she made, she showed to me with such hope and excitement on her face.
Wow, that's really cute, but I still feel like she's an evil demon, and I feel like you're going to realize it soon, and I don't know what's going to happen.
She talked constantly about the new things she learned, like the animals in Australia. I hated Hank for keeping me locked up like this, but now I was afraid of him too.
How is she? I'm so confused. What if the dad isn't her dad either? What if it's like some other dude?
He was a totally different person from the man I thought I was falling in love with. He was sullen and withdrawn. He never even looked me in the eyes anymore. The days went on. I had to fight the urge to cry and panic when I thought about Marcus. I needed to find a way to escape so I could get to my son. So I formulated a plan.
What's your plan? You're going to jump out the window into the other window, and then come back inside, and then walk around the house so you can walk back in, and then go back in this room that you came in, and then jump back out, and then you're back inside. I don't know about this plan.
I had to prove that I wasn't planning on going anywhere. So I gave in to Hannah's hugs and cuddles while waiting for my chance.
What if that's what the dad's doing too? I'm so confused.
I made her laugh. I played with her. I made her little treats in the kitchen. I worked on the perfect mother persona for weeks. I even scolded her a bit for watching those reality TV shows that were way too mature for her.
Okay.
Finally, my plan was working. Hannah started to complain that I couldn't properly play with her if I was always dragging that ball.
Okay, so now it goes back to the dad. It's literally like it's a girl, it's the dad. It's the girl, it's the dad. Now it's the dad again. Maybe I'm wrong the whole time it was the dad.
She begged her dad to remove it, and he did. A few more days passed.
Okay.
Holding and hugging Hannah almost became second nature by now. She was
weird. This is not where I expected to go. What's about to happen?
One night, she came to my room to tell me about her reality show. She said the people in her show went to a restaurant near their house. Please, can we go?
So now, what if, like, the mom, like, stays with this girl? Then I'm going to feel so bad for the mom's original family.
She begged Hank. Hank gave her a questioning look and pointed to me. Please, Daddy, she said again. Mom loves me now. I brushed the top of her head lightly, a gesture of affection.
I can't tell if the mom's faking it or not. I honestly don't know.
Hank finally gave in. Remember to behave, Helen, he told me by the front door. No funny business. I nodded, and it was the first time I saw the outside world in ages.
Wait, the dad's going with them. Got it. So she might not be able to make a run.
We got into the car and drove to the restaurant. Hannah was practically jumping in her seat in her excitement. She kept cuddling next to me, saying that she had the best family in the world. When it was time to pay the check, I stood up and excused myself. I have to use the ladies' room,
Good.
I replied. And to stop the suspicion
Here we
forming
go.
in Hank's eyes, I asked Hannah to come along. The little girl grabbed my hand and went.
I don't know what she's about to do. I'm confused.
I led Hannah to a stall, and I went to the one next to it. As much as I wanted to take care of Hannah, I needed to leave her father.
Yes, that was a smart escape plan. I hope you get out.
I needed to escape. So before I left the bathroom stall, I quickly got my lipstick and smeared a message on the door. It was my only chance to get some help. I didn't have
You could have just walked away, couldn't you?
an address or a phone number, but I knew the plate number of Hank's car. When we were
Wow, that's smart. I mean, it's. I feel like, well, is it smart? Couldn't you have just walked away? I don't know.
walking back to the car, we heard shouting coming from the restaurant.
They're gonna think the daughter was kidnapped, not the mom.
Somebody had seen my note. I was saved. The police arrived soon after. They handcuffed me.
Wait, what? Why would you assume the mom was kidnapped? Okay.
I finally got my vengeance.
It was that
Now
easy?
it was going to be his
No.
turn to feel how terrible it is to be locked up. Hannah was crying the whole time.
I'm so
I took her
confused.
in my arms. Please don't let them take my daddy away, she cried to me. I tried to comfort her as much as I could. The poor little girl was being traumatized again. But the cops also took Hannah away. She was being sent to a social worker. As much as it hurt to let her go, my arms were craving to hold my son again. I finally went home, and my life gradually went back to normal, despite meeting with the police all the time. I told them about the night I fell unconscious. They assumed that Hank must have run to the living room the moment that his daughter left.
Dang, with a freaking baseball bat sneaking behind a wall? How creepy would that be if you turn around and saw that looking at you?
They said that it was an open and shut case about a man who was obsessed with finding a mother for his child. I tried to stop thinking about it. Besides, I wanted to make up for all the...
I feel like this legitimately is very possible to happen.
I hugged him as tightly as I could, feeling that I would never let anything bad ever happen to my son. I would do anything for him.
Look at this.
But something kept bugging me about the whole ordeal.
The daughter.
As much as I hated and feared Hank, I couldn't shake off the feeling that there was still some stone left unturned.
But I'm so curious, like, what, is she about to adopt this girl and Hank comes back? Like, that's what I feel like is going to happen.
I also felt guilty about Hannah, so I went to visit her, just to see her one last time. She sobbed when she saw me, and she held out her little arm. "You come to take me home, Mom?" she asked with so much hope and heartbreak. "I'm sorry, baby," I whispered to her. "I can't be your real mother." I felt so sad.
Wait, you came back just to tell her that?
There was no way I could get Hannah. I felt so guilty about leaving her. She was just a little girl. But the moment I said that, her face changed. Gone was the angelic face I had known. She snarled like an animal. "I thought you were different," she said with a sudden raspy voice. "But you're not any better than them."
She's an earthbender.
Hannah thought I was
She's a firebender.
her. In her anger, Hannah grabbed the only thing next to her, which was her diary. She flung it at me and it fell on the floor. I bent down to pick it up. Meanwhile, Hannah was flinging curses at me. Awful words that no 7-year-old should or could know. I thought it was because of all the reality shows that she watched. But then I saw the drawings.
Finally, we're about to find out what's going on.
Flipped through the pages of that diary. There were drawings of different girls, all with blonde hair and blue eyes. There were notes on each page, stating their names along with the good and bad things about them.
What?
There were dates, too. The first entry was dated 10 years ago. "What is this?"
Oh, boy.
I gasped. By now, I had noticed my own face, perfectly drawn near the last page of the diary. "Give that..."
Oh, she dyed them all blonde.
"Back," Hannah growled. I was trembling from head to toe, but I didn't give it back to her. I knew I was holding the most important piece of evidence in my own kidnapping case.
No kidding.
Things were starting to make sense now.
No, they're not.
I wasn't acting alone. "What did you use to hit me on the head?" I asked in horror.
So Hank and the girl worked together? Now, that's not something I guessed.
"I threw a boomerang at you,"
What?
she replied.
A boomerang?
Right after I shot a dart at my dad because he said he was tired of playing my game.
What?
When he finally woke up, he begged me not to hurt you. But he loves me, and he always does what I say.
What?
He's been doing it for years. Years, I repeated. How could that be? Hannah was only 7. How old are you, Hannah? I asked as calmly as I could.
How
but
old
my
is
heart
she?
was beating painfully in my chest.
What if she's like
You're
20?
smarter than I thought, she spat back at me. I may look like a young girl, but I'm really 18 years old. Not much younger than you. How? I whispered back. I stopped aging a long time ago. I'm trapped in this child's body, but I can't do anything without somebody who actually looks like an adult. And I just want a normal life with a normal family. You can feel sorry for me all you want, but I'll find a way to get a real family someday. It doesn't have to be you.
And apparently this is a real story?
It doesn't have to be any one of you. Hannah's demeanor was scaring me more than being locked up in a house.
Yeah.
What do you mean, any one of you? Who are these women? I asked again, pointing to the pictures in her diary. Then Hannah's face changed some more. She looked feral, evil, and nothing like a child.
What happened to
Those are my other mothers, she said with a little smug smile. Do you think you were the first? The mothers that failed to meet my expectations are all buried in the basement.
That's actually one of the scariest things I've ever seen. Don't forget to drop a like on this video, guys. Subscribe, hit that bell with notifications on, and drop a comment. What was your favorite part of today's story? Peace. Is it possible to be poor in a family of billionaires? Today we're going to react to a real-life story, supposedly real, that claims they are poor while their whole family are billionaires. Let's see if it's true or a scam.
I guess my life was a bit different to most kids. I spent a lot of time on my own. I don't mean I didn't have friends. I had lots of friends. But my parents left me on my own a lot.
I'm going to tell you right now, those parents are not what I would imagine a billionaire-looking parent would look like. They don't have goatees, do they? Does a single billionaire have a goatee? No, they're all like bald, like Jeff Bezos or like Elon Musk.
My parents had very busy jobs. I don't really know exactly what their jobs were. But whatever it was, it took them away a lot. I didn't really mind. I was used to looking after myself.
Dang, you know she's rich when she's pouring freaking orange juice out of what, a giant crystal... What do you call that thing? That looks expensive to me, okay?
They traveled to lots of different countries. They would leave me by myself for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. When they came back, they would bring me lots of...
So they're drug dealers, likely, or they're human traffickers. Could be either one. That's my 2 guesses. I don't know why. Human traffickers, feels possible. This dude gives me creep vibes.
I kind of enjoyed it when they went away. I could do whatever I wanted. When my parents were home, they were always whispering to each other.
Yeah.
They would send me up to my room.
Yep.
Your mom and I needed...
You notice how, I'm just pointing out, her eyeballs are... Okay.
Discuss some work stuff. Dad would say, just go to your room. You'll be bored listening to all this. Dad was really fun when he was around. I thought he was the best dad in the world. Only one thing he was super strict about. I wasn't allowed to touch his computer.
Because it's got all the illegal stuff on it. We already know
I didn't know why. It's not like I was going to break it or anything. I remember one time Mom and Dad had gone shopping. I was in my room doing my homework. Suddenly, the battery on my laptop died. Oh no, I thought...
And then as you're taking an online test, it dies and you get an instant 0 on the paper and your teacher says, sorry, you can't retake it. You should have known. You should have plugged in your computer. Yeah, I've been there. I know how it feels.
I only had a bit more to do and then I could go out to play with my friends. Now I would be stuck here until Mom came home and I could borrow her laptop. Then a thought came to my head. I would just finish my homework on Dad's computer. It would only take me 5 minutes. He would never know. I ran downstairs and sat at Dad's desk. I switched on the computer and heard the monitor come to life. Suddenly, the door flew open and Dad was standing there. What are you doing? He screamed at me. Get up to your room. You're grounded for a month. What is wrong with him? I thought. I couldn't believe he would get so angry. I went up to my room. It's so not fair. Dad just treats me like a baby. I can't believe I'm grounded.
You know what? That'd be pretty crappy too, but I don't know, man. Getting on your parents' computer just feels weird even now. Like, just nah, it ain't about it. I don't even think I'd find anything, but I don't even want to risk it.
It was about 2 weeks after that when Mom said that her and Dad had to go away again for work. To be honest, I was quite happy they were going away. I was still grounded, but they hadn't said I couldn't have any friends come over.
Ooh, throwing a rager with the parents gone, and then you steal the laptop and you find out your dad has secretly been stealing pieces of your clothing to dye his hair red.
As usual, Mom had made lots of meals and put them in the freezer for me.
Now hold on, but if you have 2 redhead parents, doesn't that mean genetically you're guaranteed to have a redhead family? If both parents are ginger, their offspring would be ginger, which means this is
all
not
I had to
even
do
their
when I
daughter.
came home from school was heat one of them in the microwave.
Oh my goodness.
The days went by, and before I knew it, they had been away for over 3 weeks.
Dang.
It's not like them to
you haven't even changed your shirt in 3 weeks.
away for this long, I thought. Hope they're not much longer, or I will run out of dinners.
Interesting.
I opened the freezer and looked at the meals lined up.
Wow.
What shall we have tonight?
Wow. What I would do to have that in my freezer or fridge.
Lasagna or chicken pie.
Oh.
As I stood there thinking about the choices, I suddenly heard a loud knocking at the front door. Wonder who that is, I thought, as I walked towards the front door. When I opened it, I saw 2 police...
Now that's just never a good sign, no matter what. There's never a good reason for police to show up, ever.
Policemen standing there. Are you Casey? They asked. Yes, what is it? I replied. You'd better sit down, they said.
Oh, that's not good.
As they led me into the lounge, I knew something bad had happened. They sat me down and told me that my parents had been involved in a car crash. I'm sorry, one policeman said. Neither one of them survived. They must have been surprised that I didn't cry, but they didn't say anything.
Wow.
Are they at the hospital? I asked. I want to see them. I'm sorry, said the other policeman. That's impossible. We didn't find their bodies. How could that happen? I thought. This seems really weird. I wanted to ask more questions.
Maybe they paid to pretend to die because they wanted to get rid of their daughter that wasn't actually their daughter because it's not possible.
I sat there and listened as they explained that I would have to go to stay at an orphanage until they could find someone who wanted to adopt me. I wanted to say that I could look after myself, but I didn't. I knew no one was going to want to adopt me. I was 15 years old.
Wow.
People wanted to adopt cute little babies, not annoying teenagers. They told me to pack a few things in a bag, and then they took me to the orphanage. When we got there, a gray-haired old lady opened the door and smiled at me. She said, "Hi, Maggie. I'll show you to your room."
That's a spot-on grandma voice, by the way. That sounds so crisp in my ears. I mean, your grandma voice in the ears keeps the doctor away, is a saying they use.
I followed her upstairs and along the corridor with lots of doors. When we got to the end, she opened the last door and we went in. There were 3 beds in the room. I could see the other 2 beds had girls in them. I went over to the 3rd. Try to get some sleep, she said.
That's what you do. Hey, your parents died. Try to get some sleep. You ain't sleeping. You're up all night rolling over.
The other girls smiled at me. They seemed friendly, but they had probably been told to leave me alone. I lay in bed thinking about my parents. I felt guilty that I was crying, but I was used to being on my own. Eventually, I fell asleep. The next morning, I went downstairs to breakfast. The kitchen was really noisy. There were boys and girls of all ages chatting and laughing and fighting over pieces of toast and glasses of milk. As I sat down, they all gathered around me.
What's your name?
How old are you? Do you like football? The questions were coming from all directions at the
I'm really trying to figure out, that'd be kind of cool. Obviously, no one wants that, but I guess to have a bunch of friends, if they are friendly, would be kind of cool. I guess, maybe, I don't know.
I looked around me, bewildered. Thankfully, the door opened and Maggie came in. She told them all to leave me alone and get on with their breakfast.
Come and see me in my office after breakfast, Casey.
I went and found...
Why does she have to call it an office? Isn't that kind of scary? Call it like a fun room. Hey, come join me in the fun room. That's a little better.
On Maggie's office.
Come in, sit down,
she said, smiling.
We have some great news. We have found a family that wants to adopt you.
Oh, lovely.
They're coming to